Hi, and welcome to the fourth episode of Made with Carlenergy. This is a knitting, spinning, crafty podcast. I'm Carlene, and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Carlenergy, and you can find show notes for the podcast at carlenergy.blogspot.com. I didn't end up putting show notes up for the last episode, and I apologize for that if you were looking for them, but I will try to get some notes up for that episode as well as this one as soon as possible. I have already had 2 cups of coffee this morning. It is Sunday, September 13th at almost 11 o'clock, but I have been up since basically 3:45 in the morning. I woke up then and just couldn't fall back asleep, and I was tossing and turning until about 6 o'clock, and then just decided to get up and start knitting so I would have a little bit more progress to show for the week. So that's my disclaimer for the inevitable weirdness of this episode. I am now exhausted but hyper-caffeinated, so now I'm actually drinking some mint tea to maybe even things out a little bit and get me through this recording. It was chilly this morning. It feels like fall. I am, if you might have noticed, I'm wearing a hand knit sweater, which I will talk about. I have some sweatpants on and even some hand knit socks. So yeah, it was pretty chilly this morning. I am embracing it. I feel very cozy, and I really like fall. I think it's definitely I would say it's probably my favorite time of year, and that might be because my birthday. I was born in October, so my birthday's next month. So I think maybe that has something to do with it just kind of naturally being my favorite season. But being a knitter, obviously, I love that when fall comes around, I can break out the hats and the scarves and the cardigans. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. Not excited for winter, mind you, by any means. Winter can stay away for a while longer, but definitely excited for fall. I'm excited for the leaves to change color. I'm excited for hot apple cider and campfires and all of that wonderful stuff. So I'm embracing it. This week I did finish one object, which is not in my possession anymore because it was a gift, but I will try to show some pictures of that. I will talk about this top that I'm wearing. I have some nice progress on my works in progress, and other than that, yes, definitely some shout outs to make, and also I think at the end of the episode, if I'm still awake, I will talk a little bit about how I learned how to knit and just, yeah, my general knitting history, because I don't think I've really talked about that at all in any of my other episodes, so I thought that might be kind of nice. So to get started, this week I made an emu. Why would you knit an emu, you ask? So a friend of mine who is she's been the artist residency director of the Wasaic Project, which is an arts organization that I worked for as an intern last summer. She is moving back to Tennessee, where she grew up, I believe, and where her family still lives. So she's moving back to Tennessee, and so the Wasaic Project has an artist residency where artists come in and live there for a month or two, and they get a studio space in this old livestock barn. It's this huge old green barn. It's a beautiful building, and it has all these stalls in it that used to house livestock, but now they've all been turned into artist studios. So yes, my friend was the director of the program, and then I made her an emu because there's also a small organic farm in Wasaic, and they have an emu named Mother, and she's kind of the Wasaic mascot in a way. So they've printed tote bags with Mother on them and t-shirts, and I decided to knit a little mini Mother for my friend Charlotte to take with her to Tennessee. So if you follow me on Instagram, you may have already seen the pictures, but Let me just pull it up. I know this is not the best way to show a picture, but I'm still learning how to edit video and put pictures in, so I'm just going to try to show it on my phone. I know it's going to be a glare, but you can see the general idea of the shape of it. And I used pipe cleaners for the legs. I just made these little I-cord legs and then stuck the pipe cleaners in there, so they're kind of movable. And here it is from the front with his little feet. And yeah, I'm really excited about how it came out. It was really fun. I kind of just improvised it. I used the Bluebird of Happiness pattern for the basic body shape. This is a free pattern on Ravelry, I'm sure you've seen. And I've made a bunch of these little guys, and I really like making them. So I did the basic body from this pattern, and then, but I was knitting it with a chunky yarn on size 7 needles. And then obviously for the tail and the head I had to improvise, so I was just looking at pictures of emus online and increasing and decreasing where I thought I had to. And yeah, I'm happy with how it came out. I didn't write anything down. I kind of wish I had as I was going along, but I definitely want to try to make some more. It was really fun. And then the top that I'm wearing is a pattern called, I got to bring it up real quick. It's called Billoween by Cicely Glowick McDonald. And I don't think I even have project notes of this top on Ravelry. I've always been kind of spotty with putting notes up on my projects page. But I made this in Madeline Tosh Merino Light, which is their fingering weight merino single. And I think this colorway is called Opaline, so it's lavenders and dusty roses, and this is a nice boxy comfy t-shirt basically. And yeah, I really like this top. It's very comfortable. I wear it a lot just to hang out in, and I'm not 100% happy with how the sleeves came out. They flare a little bit more than I was hoping for, I guess. Kind of like bat wings, I guess I call them. And I've considered going back and undoing the ribbing and maybe doing the ribbing in a smaller needle to bring in it a little bit more, but it doesn't bother me enough to take the time to go back and redo it. So I think it's still cute. And yeah, just really comfortable and a great layering piece for fall and early spring. I don't wear it too much during the middle of the summer because since it's 100% wool, it does get a little too warm. But yeah, I really like it for early fall, and yeah, very happy with it. And I think I knit this on size US 5 needles, but again, I don't really remember too much. It does call for a size 5, so I think that's what I used. And yeah, besides that, just works in progress. So I thought I would finish the pair of socks that I've been working on this week, but it didn't happen. My Patton's Croy gray, brown, marl stripe socks, plain vanilla sock for a US size 10.5 guys shoe size, and I am about maybe a third or maybe even halfway through the heel flap on the second sock, and they match, which is great. I don't always try to make striped socks match, but this time I really wanted to, and I think they look really great, and it does. It makes them look really sophisticated, I think, and professional when you match your hand knit socks. So that's really all to say about those. Still working on them, still progressing nicely. Wish they were finished because I want to start more socks, but oh well. And I didn't really work on these other socks that I had started. These are also Patton's Croy socks, and I'm striping 2 different colorways together, 2 rows each. And I did maybe 6 rows this week on these. I really didn't mess with these too much, but I'm still. I think I still like them. I think the whole thing is when I'm not really bringing these out with me. I think once I finish the the other socks. I will start bringing these as my travel project, but yeah, when I've been out and about, I usually bring the other pair. So these haven't actually left the house yet, and that's probably why they haven't really gotten too much attention. But I think they'll be nice. And these are, I haven't posted pictures still. I haven't done it yet, but I'm entering these into the Knitting Expat September cowl. So I have to post pictures of those. And this is the spring leaf colorway, striped with the, I don't know why that needle's in there, that's for the other socks. Interesting. And this is the bramble stripes colorway. And Amber of the Crochet Junkie podcast is also knitting a pair of Rose City rollers with this colorway, which are coming out really cute. And then Nessa of the Kiltcraft podcast. Hi Amber and hi Nessa. Nessa's also working on a pair of Patton's Croy socks, and Nessa kind of jumped in and said, you know, we're kind of doing a mini knit along with our Croy socks, so that's fun. And you might have seen a peek of my new project bag. This came in the mail. I'd ordered it last week, and it came. This is a project bag by the Fawn Knits. This is her tall, small project bag for socks, and I really love it. When I saw this color, I just had to have it. This is basically my favorite color, and this is one of the wool felt pieces that she's been getting. She's getting these one-of-a-kind wool felt pieces from a local shop in where she lives in Alberta, Canada, I believe. And so, yeah, kind of fell in love with it immediately. I really like her printed bags. She uses such amazing fabric, so there's all these different prints that I'd really like. But when I saw this one, I just really had to have it. And it's just really well made, really feels really nice. And I love that it can fold over because the fabric inside is this beautiful gold scalloped glittery fabric, and I love this color combination. So thank you so much, Laura of the Fawn Knits. It's a beautiful bag, and I'm really excited about it. And so this is her card. It's the Fawn and the Fox on Etsy. And I got a little sticker. And then she also sent these little espresso candies, which I will probably need today, considering my state of non-sleep. So yeah, I'm very happy to have that bag. It's basically, well, I wouldn't say that that's necessarily true. I do have other project bags, but I think it's the first project bag that I've ordered on Etsy. So that's exciting. And of course, I want tons more. All of you are so enabling, but I'm trying to budget myself. Next, I think I will talk about my Aelia tank top, since that got some attention this week. So this is the Aelia Cami by Pam Allen. It's a Quince & Co. pattern, and it calls for the Quince & Co. Sparrow yarn, which is a 100% linen, but I decided to go with this yarn from my local yarn shop. It's called, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but Gelsk. I won't try to say the actual yarn name, but it's this nice sage green color. And this is a 55% wool, 45% cotton blend in a sport weight. And I really liked knitting with this yarn, and I really like the fabric that it made. It has a really nice drape to it. And the last time I showed this, I think was in my first episode, and I had the front and back knitted, but I hadn't blocked it or anything yet, and hadn't seamed it together. So in my last episode, it was actually on the blocking mat, and yesterday actually I went to my local yarn shop, Black Sheep Yarns in Kent, Connecticut, and I worked on picking up the stitches around the two neck edges to do the neck edging and the straps. So you have to pick up along each edge and also cast on stitches with the backwards loop cast on to do the straps. And then knit in the round for only 2 rows, and then you bind off. So you get this nice garter stitch edge. And yeah, I went to the yarn shop to do this because I knew that if I was just at home with all my other projects hanging around, I would just keep putting this off. So I just put this in my bag, only project I brought with me, and I said I'm going to go and get this finished, or I'll never seam it together. So I'm really happy that it's at this stage now. Obviously there's still a long way to go with the finishing. I have a bunch of messy ends to weave in, and I have to do the same thing with picking up stitches along the armholes and make the edging for those, and then I have to seam it together. So still several hours to put into this thing, but yeah, I'm really happy that it's at this point because it's starting to look more like a tank top. And I tried it on at this point, and it does look like it's going to fit really well. It has a really nice drape to it, and it was very comfortable. So yeah, I think that's going really well. And next is my Fringe with Benefits shawl, or scarf. I don't know whether to consider this a scarf or a shawl. It's kind of both, I guess. So this is out of my hand spun from 2 different loop bumps, and in my last episode I had started adding yarn that I had spun from the second loop bump, because up until this point was the first bump. So then I ran out here, and then so this dark olive is the first color in the second loop bump, and I mean the colors are just flowing right along. I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but I bought both of these bumps from a D-stash on Ravelry in the group for loop, which is called Loopy Goodness. So there's a D-stash thread there, and I think this is the first time I've ever bought anything from a Ravelry D-stash. But yeah, I saw these 2 bumps, and they were a really good price, and so I bought both of them, and didn't necessarily. I knew that they would coordinate really well together, but I didn't necessarily plan on putting them into the same project. But it just worked out that I ran out of yarn on the first one, so yeah, I'm really excited with how it's transitioning. I think it's all going to look really nice together, and I really like this section. So I was up to right here. I need to get some progress keepers. I don't have any of the lobster claw. I need to get some of those. Anyway, so I had just done, I think, this darker green section, and so I got all of that done this week, and this was fun because this is the most beaded section so far, and I really like how this lime green is transitioning into the next color. But I ran out of yarn again, so I have to keep spinning. I do have a little bit on the spindle. I've been working on it here and there for a few minutes at a time. So, but now that I'm out of yarn again, I'm sure that'll boost my progress with this, because I am really falling more and more in love with this thing, and I'd really like to keep knitting on it because it's been really nice to have on the needles again. Yeah, it's such a funky shape. I have the pattern here. This is what the whole thing looks like, and there is a shorter version, so if I had done just the shorter version, it would have stopped at about here. So now I'm onto this section, and yeah, it looks very odd all laid out, obviously, but I think that's gonna look really cool when I'm wearing it, because it just has a really dynamic shape to it. I'm tired. So that's that. And I didn't even finish that one square that I had started in my last episode on my sock yarn blanket, so I won't show you that because I really didn't work on that. I will show you this cool little book that I bought yesterday at my yarn shop. It's called Nibbles and Knits, and this is a little booklet that they made for the Western Connecticut Yarn Council. And so there's a yarn crawl from September 25th until September 27th, and there's a bunch of Western Connecticut yarn shops participating. So my local yarn shop is Black Sheep Yarns, and I don't think I've been to a Stitch in Time, but that was several years ago when I had first learned how to knit, and I haven't been to any of these. So I think I might try to get to a few. But regardless, I just really wanted this little booklet because it has recipes. It's got a butternut squash soup recipe. It's got a couple different patterns, and it's got some coupons for all the different yarn shops that are participating. So I'm really excited about this. This is a really nice little booklet. I love the color too, or the cover too. Yeah, so very excited for that. But I'm a little worried about going on a yarn crawl because I can't buy any more yarn. I really can't. Not until Rhinebeck. I want to talk about some projects I have in mind for very soon once I get some stuff off the needles. Well, the one thing was that I thought that I was going to have my Gashly Crumb from Wollonvine this week, but it hasn't gotten here yet. I don't know what happened, but I haven't gotten any more updates from the from shipping. So I know that it left Brooklyn, and it shouldn't have taken too long to get here because I'm only 2 hours upstate. But yeah, the shipping notifications said that it would arrive on Friday, and then I just haven't gotten any updates since I think Thursday. So I don't know what happened. And Kristen, I don't think it was your fault at all. I think it's just probably hung up at the post office somewhere. But I was disappointed because I really wanted to show it. I wanted to squish it, and it's not here yet. So I'm really hoping it'll get here tomorrow. But the pattern, I picked out a pattern for it. So I ordered Wollonvine yarns in the Wolk base, which is a merino cashmere nylon. It's a fingering weight, and I'm planning on making tartesos. This is in the Deep Fall, right? I think it's Knitty Deep Fall, which is the, yeah, Deep Fall 2015, so it's the current issue of Knitty. And yeah, it's really pretty. It's kind of, the reason I want to make this with the Gashly Crumb is because the Gashly Crumb is Kristen's colorway based on Edward Gorey. And, you know, he's got this very gothic kind of Victorian style to his illustrations, and this kind of speaks very Victorian-ish to me. I don't know why, but it just does. So I think it'll be a really nice match for the yarn. So that's what I'm planning on doing with the Gashly Crumb. And then I've had this other Wollonvine yarn for several months now. It's her fairy hair colorway. So pretty. Kind of similar to what I'm wearing. But this is her straw base, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. It's 400 yards fingering weight. And I've had this pattern bookmarked for it for quite a while. I just haven't wanted to start it because I know it's going to be, it's going to take some concentration. But this is the Damask shawl by Kitman Figueroa. Probably butchering that name, but yeah, very pretty kind of brocade lace, and so that's what I wanted to do with this yarn. And I really want to cast it on. I've been really tempted to cast it on, but I just want to finish some things first. Oh, which reminds me, I did forget a work in progress. So this is my White Caps cowl, a free pattern on the pearlbee.com, and this was my Habu Textiles Naramaki cotton slub yarn that I had bought from Pearl Soho, and then Alchemy Yarns, Silk and Straw. So the green is the cotton from Habu Textiles, and the cream pearly color is Alchemy Silk and Straw, 100% raw silk. And I think in my last episode I was maybe halfway through this stripe, so added a little bit. It hasn't been something that I work on too much in one sitting. I kind of pick it up for a few minutes at a time, and I really like it so far. It's a nice, boring, soothing stockinette project for when I just don't want to concentrate on anything else. So that's coming along nicely. And I don't think I showed it last time, but I'm keeping it in this project bag, and I really like this because the colors all kind of coordinate together. But this little bag is from an antique store actually in Kent, Connecticut, which is also where my local yarn shop is located. And the owner of this antique shop is really sweet. She always has cookies and coffee and tea out for her customers, and then she started making these little sewn bags for when you buy things and you get to take away your purchases in these cute little bags. So that was really nice. And obviously when I saw them, I thought, well, I'm going to use that for a project bag. So, and it just happened to work out that I ended up buying yarn that matched it really well. So, yeah. I don't know why it's so satisfying to have your project match your project bag, but I know that you all understand, so there it is. I think that's it. I think that sums up my week in knitting. So I want to say thank you to Mina of the Expat Podcast. She did mention me on her last episode, so thank you so much, Mina. That was nice to hear. And I had wanted to try to meet up with her and Kristen of Yarngasm in Brooklyn for Kristen's Woolen Vine Yarns trunk show at Gauge Intention, but I actually ended up, I thought I might have been able to make it down to the city yesterday, Saturday, but I forgot that I had already planned on going to an event at the Wasaic Project. So I was there instead, but there are some really lovely pictures of Mina and Kristen and Maria of the Subway Knits podcast. They all got together at Gauge Intention, and hi all of you. It was really nice to see that you all got together and got to hang out at Gauge Intention, and wish I could have made it, but next time. I also want to say, hi to Nessa of Kill to Craft again. We go back and forth on Instagram a lot, and hi to all of my new subscribers and to everyone who has said hello on Ravelry. I haven't gotten back to all of you yet, but I'm definitely planning on spending some time sending you some messages today. And I hope I'm remembering all of that. I think that's it. So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about how I got started with knitting. I have been knitting for I think 11 or 12 years. I started, I think, when I was 15, and I've always been crafty. I've always liked to draw and paint, just do random art projects when I was younger. And I was always buying the Klutz books. I don't know if you know the brand Klutz, but they have all these different crafty books where you get this little kit and you get a book showing you how to do things. So I would get beading kits and friendship bracelet kits, and Klutz does have a knitting book, although I never did use the Klutz knitting book. I think the knitting book for Klutz came out after I'd already learned how to knit. Anyway, I bought a magazine. It was just like a teen magazine, and it had an article in it about knitting and how knitting was this was in, I guess, 2001 or 2002, and knitting, no, I guess it was, well, if it was 11 years ago. It was probably more, yeah, it was around 2004. I was in high school, freshman year, and I bought a magazine, and it had this article about how knitting was becoming trendy again. And, I'd always kind of wanted to learn how to knit or crochet, so I bought the magazine, and then I also bought a Learn How to Knit book. And after a couple frustrating attempts, finally got the hang of it, of the cast on and everything, and just started buying yarn for scarves. And pretty soon after I learned how to knit, I decided I wanted to attempt a sweater. And oh, I should have brought that out to show you. Maybe on the next episode I'll show it. But so I made this sweater out of Caron Simply Soft, and it was just a very basic boat neck sweater. It was in a book called Teen Knitting Club, which is the book I basically learned how to knit from. And I really liked that book. It has really nice pictures in it, actually. Even now, looking through that book makes me want to knit just because the photography is really nice. I don't know, it's a nicely styled book. And it has some nice, simple patterns for when you're first starting out. So I started this sweater, and it was just the front and the back were exactly the same, just basically rectangles, and then rectangles with a little bit of shaping for the sleeves, and you had to seam it all together. And my seaming was absolutely atrocious. I mean, there's one of the underarms, if I ever show it to you, unless I decide it's too embarrassing, but one of the underarms is just all bunched up in the armpit because I just kind of, yeah, the two sides weren't matching up as I was going along, and I just ended up making this little bunch of fabric at the end. So, but actually, there have been times, and I never even moved the ends in. I mean, it's ugly, it's terrible. It was my first sweater, but I still kind of put it on sometimes because it is very comfortable and it's kind of cozy sometimes. I don't know. Uh, I should probably just try to at least weave the ends in, and then it'll be a little more presentable. And I don't know, I can't really pinpoint the time at which I just became completely obsessed, but I think it kind of just started almost off the bat when I learned how to knit. I mean, I was knitting socks in class in high school, and yeah, just fell in love with yarn. And I started at a really good time because knitting was starting to pick up again, and the yarn industry was getting really great with all the different materials available, and indie dyers started becoming, popping up everywhere. And it's really interesting to see now because uh, there was this big surge of like new yarn shops and new yarns, and knitting was popular again. And uh, I kind of thought, okay, maybe it'll die down, but I don't think it really has. I think maybe there might have been a lull a few years after the big craze started again, but I think there's definitely a craze right now. I mean, there's all these indie dyers, everybody's making beautiful yarn, and then of course project bags now, and just the podcast community. And I mean, I don't see it letting up, and it's awesome. I'm so glad that there are so many creative people making beautiful textiles, and it's so exciting. And yeah, go us. I'm just really excited about that. I'm excited that it's maintained its I don't even want to say popularity, but it's maintained its relevance, and it's it's more than just a fad or a trend now. It's a resurgence in caring about where your clothing comes from, in a way, wanting to make your own clothing and and your own accessories to go along with that, and uh, yeah, really take pride in making things with your own hands. So I think it's just I love it. Um, so yeah, that's kind of my. Oh, I also wanted to say that I think it really came from, so my grandmother on my mother's side, who we called Mum, she passed away when I was 10, but so I never learned crafts from her, but I think she was very crafty, so I think just seeing her work on cross stitch or embroidery or knitting or crochet, I think she mainly crocheted, but I know that she must have known how to knit as well. And so I would always like kind of go through her basket of sewing stuff and yarn, and I actually have inherited a lot of it. I have this button jar right here on my coffee table that I can show you. So, and it's got spindles in it, but this is my mom's button jar. It's like one of my most prized possessions, and I've used a lot of these buttons on different projects, which is really nice to know that I have these antique buttons that came from my grandmother. So yeah, this was my mom's button jar, and as you can see, I'm using it to double as spindle storage. And I haven't talked about any of these projects on any episodes yet because these are all pretty dormant right now. I haven't been working on these projects, but eventually you'll see these spindles and I'll talk about them and the fibers and all that stuff. But and you can tell me if you think this is like not a great way to store spindles. I mean, I've seen spindles kept in jars of rice and things like that, because I think the idea is that you don't want your spindle to just be like rusting or like resting directly on a hard surface. So I thought maybe the buttons could kind of be a substitute for rice. But yeah, totally feel free if you think this is like not great for the spindles, but I thought it was, I don't know, I thought it looked cute. So yeah, that's my mom's button jar, and it's always on my coffee table, and yeah, kind of very inspiring. And I have another, this is another button jar that I have now. And actually this can and then this little tin is, they are also filled with buttons. They came from different estate sales because my mom works for an estate sale company, so now whenever she finds needles or craft supplies, they usually end up with me. I've gotten some yarn from them too. It hasn't been anything of like super great quality, but it's still nice to just to inherit some yarn for just different. I have a bunch of acrylic that I want to make blankets out of and stuff. So anyway, I feel like I'm kind of babbling at this point, and I think I need a nap. I want to just be able to keep working on stuff and knit for the rest of the day, but I think a nap is probably the best bet right now before I try to keep going on anything. I don't want to mess anything up with how tired I am. So thanks for bearing with me, and I hope you've had a good week of knitting, and I'm looking forward to catching up with some podcasts later on today, and I hope my yarn comes in the mail. I hope I get my woolen vine. Oh, and I might have also made an order with Jimmy Bean's wool. Oops. But, okay, this is the thing. I got this notification email about Jimmy Bean's wool now having beanie bags, and they're going to be these little sample bags of like mini skeins of yarn and I think wool wash samples and different little notions and things like that. So it's $10 a month, and you can sign up for, I think you can sign up for 1 month, or you could sign up for 3 months, 6 months, a year, and yeah, $10 a month, including shipping. And Jimmy Beans will send you this little goodie bag of sample stuff every month. So I signed up for 3 months because, and I know I'm like trying not to stash anymore, but I signed up for the 3 months because I figured this way I now know that I will, because part of ordering online is knowing that you're going to get mail. And so now I know that I'll be getting something in the mail for 3 months, and hopefully that'll keep me from wanting to buy something online just so I can, get a fun package in the mail. And I think it'll be good. I'm hoping for some good mini skeins to add to my sock yarn blanket and things like that. So we'll see how that works out. And yeah, I did 3 months because I figure I'll see how it is. I'll see what kind of goodies come, and then if I want to keep going, I can sign up again. So yeah, I wanted to have at least a little something to show every once in a while. for stash enhancement, and I figured it's only $10 a month, right? That's not so bad. That's better than me just being free to roam around on Etsy all the time. So yeah, hopefully that'll keep me satisfied for 3 months. Anyway, that is really all. I'm gonna sign off now, take a little nap, and yeah, I will catch up with you guys next week. Happy knitting. Bye.